Hi, everyone. Bill Renchler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Monday. Not quite as hot today. Excited to talk with Josh Planos from the Better Business Bureau. Happy to see you're still in one piece and you have not melted after this weekend. Did you even try and go outside, or did you just stay inside?
I think there was a quick run to the car wash and then the drying off of the car afterward. But outside of that, I was an indoor cat this weekend, and I feel like I am better for it. I feel like I'm in one piece, as you said.
I have to look up here. Willis Carrier is the man who invented the air conditioner. So really thankful for him this weekend. Again, you go back several decades, Josh, they took like blocks of ice and put them in front of the fan, and that's what they did.
I would not have lasted 2 seconds in that era. Thank you, Willis. I am very, very grateful for the HVAC today and most days.
Yes, absolutely. Josh, today we're just kind of going over some of the latest scams that you've seen reported into Scam Tracker locally here in Nebraska. We have one that I don't even necessarily think is on our list, but a Bennett man lost a couple $100 to a scammer who's impersonating country singer Luke Bryan. That's on our homepage right now on 1011now.com.
One thing I can say to that, and we have reached out to Luke Bryan's team to try to get. Luke Bryan is actually going to be in town later this week. I'm not sure if you knew that, but he's coming through with his tour. And although this is sadly quite common, hopefully Luke Bryan's team will provide tickets or something for this man. So be on the lookout for more information on that. But certainly a difficult time to text message with your favorite artist. Without verifying, and sadly, this is not an uncommon experience, and something that resulted in hundreds of dollars. Right?
Yeah, I mean, $600 you may not think sound like a lot of money, but I mean that's a good chunk of change for a lot of folks. That's going to pay for a lot of groceries. That's going to pay for a lot of gas, and unfortunately, that money is just into the wind. But Josh, again, that just kind of tops off the list. It runs the whole gambit of kind of we always talk. It can come in any form, any shape, any kind of theme, any topic. This first one here, a Viking cruise postcard scam. Walk us through when that was reported and all the info behind it.
Yeah, so all of the reports that we'll talk about today have been reported since June 15th. So within the last 8 days, we have, from Nebraska residents, one person reached out about a Viking river cruise opportunity, which I don't know about you, Bill. That sounds pretty fantastic right about now. And this person was told that they won this cruise, and they were given a phone number to call. But there were some grammatical mistakes on the postcard that this person looked past. There was allegedly airfare for two. They had to call within 48 hours to claim this opportunity. But sadly, this opportunity didn't exist. This was not something that they had even entered into the sweepstakes or the lottery system to receive. And this is something that resulted in a monetary loss of a couple $100. And that's, again, something that you're spending money thinking that you're going to receive something that costs considerably more money. And as a result, willing to look past some of those kind of obvious red flags, that there's an unknown caller, there's bad grammar on the postcard, you didn't verify with the company directly, and sadly, you're out the money and the experience.
And again, thankfully, with this and with all of these have all been reported to Scam Tracker, which is what we want to see. Again, no one should feel embarrassed about any of these things happening to them. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, like we've talked about. A lot of these things can look very real. This next one, I haven't even heard of before or even thought of, but this involves a Roku and setting up a Roku. Kind of walk me through how this one works.
Yeah, a Nebraskan purchased a new Philips TV. They downloaded the Roku app. They scanned a QR code that prompted them to call a number to complete setup for that account. And a scammer posing as a Roku representative collected debit card information under the guise of selecting a service plan. They provided fake contact details for future support. And this person, again, ultimately lost a substantial amount of money, thinking that they were trying to activate a streaming device. Roku setup is free, So that should have been a useful giveaway that you should never need to pay to activate a streaming device in this way. QR codes, I know we use them all the time for everything from like magazine subscriptions to parking, but just because there is a QR code, if it's from an untrustworthy source, that's something to avoid and to be conscientious of. You want to again go straight to the source. If you have questions about Roku, if you have questions about Philips TV and the Roku connection or the integration of that app, you want to ask that question before you pick up the phone and make that call. A lot of us, myself included, would love to just get someone on the end of the line to answer that question in the moment. But where that becomes problematic is when that phone number is tied to someone who doesn't have your best interests in mind, as was the case in this situation.
And so this was this is an interesting situation because this scammer and this setup must have somehow like paid to be on this Roku as like an ad or something like that. So again, just kind of showing you the lengths that some of these people will go to try and do nefarious things.
And we can't confirm where this person purchased this television. So while it may be a new television to them, it's all possible that this person secured a television from maybe a business that was untrustworthy, or something got slipped into the device during the transportation period. So it's not to say that all Philips televisions there's an alert out now, but this is something that can be inserted into a real purchase, a purchase for a trustworthy, useful device that sadly has nefarious means.
And this next one, Josh, again, you just kind of look at it, and when talking about investments, you always got to be super, super careful. But a Telegram investment scam promising some big returns on really minimal investments.
Yeah. So we heard from a user who joined a Telegram group. They promised a $40,000 return on a $2,000 investment through a trading bot. And after 5 days, the user was redirected to a third-party site for verification and payment. They were asked to pay 10% upfront to claim the profit. That's a request that's not required by the wallet service that they were using to that point. And so they confronted the scammers and they were subsequently blocked. But this person lost thousands of dollars, right? They lost all $2,000 of that investment, thinking that they were going to get an exponential return on that investment. And scammers are really good at propping up fake investment opportunities. They will show you dashboards that show a line chart and the number moving in real time. This is really sophisticated operations. And so even if from afar you can say this is a investment on a Telegram site, this is something that does in the moment pass the smell test, and that's really all that's necessary for a scammer to do their bidding and to make off with a considerable amount of money.
Yeah, and nowadays I think we see a lot of times, use this AI to help do these investments, or you can copy some congressperson's investment portfolio, and so some of that are real and legitimate, but really easy to get one of these not real, not legitimate things mixed in there with some of those other ones.
Yeah, it's really hard to know what's true from what isn't these days. If it was easier, we wouldn't be talking about these reports. But sadly, many of them are designed with many repetitions behind them. They are refined along the way. There's no shortage of technology to legitimize these efforts, and it's something that does frankly target people who are a little bit more susceptible, a little bit more gullible for some of these efforts.
And the next one involves a Facebook ad and fake Microsoft support, saying a person's computer was locked. But walk us through that one.
Yeah, so while browsing Facebook, a user clicked on an ad. It falsely claimed that their computer was locked due to visiting a bad site. It urged them to call a fake Microsoft support number. They grew suspicious after hearing background noises and vague questioning on that call. So they ended the call. They resolved the issue by restarting their computer. So this didn't involve a monetary loss, but this did involve a lot of information likely changing hands, certainly concern about what else was provided. It doesn't sound like this person was able to infiltrate their device, but a lot of information was shared along the way. And Microsoft notices look very similar device to device. So I believe that this was something that did, by all signs, look as though it was something that was a genuine alert, and this person was willing to again pick up the phone, make a phone call to try to get to the bottom of the situation, and ultimately called somebody who was just kind of waiting for them to fall in their lap.
And then the last one here, Josh, again, not necessarily an ad or a pop-up, but a fake website entirely that someone got lured into where they lost some money from ordering stuff that wasn't real.
Yeah, so a user believed that they were ordering from Party City. They were actually on a fraudulent site. They never received the purchased items despite ongoing shipping emails, and gradually their credit card was fraudulently used on Amazon. So this is, again, someone who thinks that they're going through a trustworthy site. We see this a lot with Joanne out of sale type scams and scam efforts. When you capitalize on an organization that has downsized their locations, that in some cases has filed for bankruptcy, you have a lot of confusion at your disposal, and that can be a really useful intake valve for gathering personal and payment information, which in this case was then used to pay for products that this person didn't even want on a completely separate website. So be really thinking about like whether or not the transaction that you're undergoing or taking part in online is worth the risk, because there is the chance in this case that money, that information is then going to be used to pay for things that you don't want or products that you'll never receive.
So like I said, kind of at the beginning, Josh, here, we really run the whole gambit, from someone impersonating a country singer to a QR code to just a fake website entirely. Again, we talk about this all the time, but we really, would like to just trust and think everyone has our best interests, but we really always have to kind of have our guard up a little bit.
Yeah, and scammers really, they leave no stone unturned, right? This is an opportunity for them to make a profit any way they can. In some cases, that's infiltrating a dating app, and in some cases, that's sending you a physical mailer for a cruise that you didn't win. And really, everything in between is fair game for scammers. They just want someone to engage with them, right? All of these at their core are plays on trust and whether or not you're willing to give someone the time of day, whether or not you're willing to give someone personal and payment information. And skepticism is something that, frankly, is hard to come by. And I think we need to inject a little bit more, particularly when we have unsolicited communication, which really was central to all of these scam efforts and the vast majority of what is ultimately reported to us.
And again, the good thing about all of these were reported to Scam Tracker, so we can talk about them. So if folks run across something similar, hopefully, it sends a light bulb off, and it helps other people not fall for these same scams.
In the past, we've talked about that DMV, that fraudulent DMV text message scam. And what was great about that was that everybody reported it at exactly the same time. And we were able to immediately dispel the myth that this was a legitimate form of communication. Many of the scams that we just talked about are things that haven't been reported previously. So we don't have that general chorus of, is this legitimate? Why is this happening to draw from? Right? When people search for these things, they don't get those public backlinks as readily as they do for DMV-related text message scam. So that's why it's important to report these things, right? It's why it's important to bring them into the light so we can use them as education, because education in this space, every agency would attest, is the best protection that we have.
And I'll punch it up here. But, this is bbb.com/scam tracker. I think my computer's displaying in the background in all black. But, again, that's the place to go to just look, kind of see what's been popping up maybe locally recently. And if something happens to you, just takes 2 or 3 minutes to let you guys know about it over at the BBB.
Yeah, all of 2.5 minutes. You can be kept completely anonymous. So I know that that's a very real concern that folks have, is I don't want to be associated with this experience I have for the rest of time. We completely understand and respect that. That information can still be used to protect someone else. And even if you choose to not be anonymous, that information is not publicly available. No one is going to be able to connect you with that scam report.
There. Oh, that's not what I want either, Josh. There we go. That's what I was trying to get at. So there's that webpage. So, Josh, last thing I want to talk to you about. I think you would be disappointed in me. Our security company that we do weekly security trainings sent me a phishing email as a test, and I clicked on the link. Josh, I clicked on the link. I thought it was real.
Well, what did we learn along the way? What was the tactic they used? Was it an invoice? Or
it was a hey, someone's logged into your Facebook at this location, someplace I haven't been. If this was you, then you can disregard this email. If this wasn't you, then you need to change your password. And I clicked the link, but I looked. It looked like everything was spelled correctly, but they still got me.
Well, none of us are foolproof, and for what it's worth, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That's why we have these exercises in the first place, is to get better, right?
100%.
If it was so easy to bypass, then it would kind of defeat the purpose, right? So good on the IT team for making it as tricky as possible, but another thing to be on the lookout for. And I'm sure that the next time you receive that particular type of communication, you will have that experience to draw from.
Well, I've gotten that communication before when I have maybe logged in on a new device that I haven't been on before, and so it was familiar to me. I thought everything looked right, and I clicked it. So now I'm sure I'm on someone in IT's list of like, hey, send this guy some extra training.
You're probably bound for a few more of those exercises, but again, something to have in your back pocket for the next time.
Yes, absolutely. Josh, thank you for your time today. As always, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Josh Planos from the Better Business Bureau. Again, we appreciate his time again, just going over some of those scams that they've gotten in really just in the last 8 days. So again, half a dozen or so just in the last couple days. So like I said, we always kind of have to have our guard up. So hopefully everyone at least kind of has an idea now as to what's out there and is always on their toes. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. As always, keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online for all the latest. And until next time, we hope everyone has a nice Monday.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.